All right, so we are going live.
Okay, I'm coming right back. I just had to replace it.
All right.
Oh,
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are all doing well. And enjoying this beautiful weather outside. I am Sharia Burnett, and I am happy to have Carole Boston Weatherford with us today. As you know, we've been really excited to have us read to have her read to us this week, and she is the author of many books. So as we always do, I'm going to announce our co-sponsors, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about a literacy resource and about Miss Weatherford. So the co-sponsors for today's event are Alamance Achieves, Future Alamance, Allied Churches of Alamance County, Elena and Jane Books, Burnett Chapel Christian Church, the Kia Foundation,
hmm.
C Western District Association through Alamance Partnership for Children. If you go on the Alamance Partnership for Children website, you will be able to click on Incredible Years. They offer both programming about parenting, and they also offer resources for early learners. So you'll find a variety of interesting things there for your children who might not be school age just yet, but that you're interested in teaching various things or getting some support in parenting. So again, if you go to the Alamance Partnership for Children's website, you will be looking for Incredible Years. And if you have any questions about that program or how to access the links, you're welcome to reach out to the people over at Alamance Achieves. I'd also like you to remember that Alamance Burlington School System parents, there is a survey for you all through Alamance Achieves to help them prepare for different summer learning opportunities for youth. And if you would like the link to that survey, you are welcome to message me on Facebook or comment below this video on Facebook, and I will get that information over to you. So today we have Carole Boston Weatherford reading RESPECT, Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. And for those of you who may not know about Aretha Franklin, because you're not in my age group or my parents' age group, you're going to learn about her today. But first, let me tell you about Carole Boston Weatherford. Carole Boston Weatherford is the author of 50 plus books, including Caldecott Honor winners Freedom to Congo Square, illustrated by R. Gregory Christie, Voice of Freedom, Fannie Lou Hamer, Spirit of the Civil Rights Movement, illustrated by Ikua Holmes, and Moses, When Harriet Tubman Led Her People to Freedom, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. A Sibert Honor winner and two-time NAACP Image Award recipient, she won a Newbery Honor for Box, Henry Brown Mails Himself to Freedom, illustrated by Michelle Wood. Weatherford mines the past for family stories, fading traditions, and forgotten struggles. The daughter of educators, she is a professor at Fayetteville State University in North Carolina. And again, we are honored to have Ms. Weatherford here today. I am going to make you a host so that hopefully you can share your screen
okay.
and we will get started.
Okay, well, I'm glad to be here this morning to share with you in the, I'm not sure whether Alamance is considered the triad or the triangle. It's kind of, kind of in between. I think both areas kind of claim Alamance. But I'm current resident of the triangle and a former resident of the triad, I'm glad to be in between with uh, children and families from Alamance County this morning. And I'd like to thank Reverend Kersey for reaching out to me to participate in this program. So I'm going to start screen sharing. The book that I'm going to be sharing is called RESPECT, Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. It is a biography. And since it's a biography, I thought that I would share with you a little bit about my own story before I share Aretha's story with you. So one thing that you might find interesting about me is that I have ridden a camel. I am pictured here on on a camel's back with my son, and believe you me, I would never have gotten on that camel's back alone, and I would never have sat up front on the camel's back. So had my son not been with me, I probably would not have been able to ride a camel when I visited the Middle East. As I said, RESPECT is a biography. Biographies tell true stories from real people's lives. Some biographies cover a person's whole life. That's, a full biography. Others cover only a part of the person's life, and that's considered a partial biography. And biographies that are written by the subjects themselves are called autobiographies. So that is me when I was in kindergarten or first grade. When I was 6 years old, I made up my first poem. My mother was driving me home from school, and I told her I had made up this poem. It was about the 4 seasons, and it went like this. You can see on the page. There are 4 seasons in each year: winter, summer, spring, and fall. Which one do you like best of all? I like winter. That's when the wind gives its pleasant call. My mother was so surprised that I had made up this poem that she parked the car, even though we were just 2 blocks from home. And she asked me if I would say the poem again. And when I recited it the second time, she wrote it down, which was a good thing because I did not know how to spell all those words at the time. My dad was a high school printing teacher. Both of my parents were educators, but my dad worked at a high school. He was a printing teacher, meaning he had printing presses right in his classroom. And he used some of my early poems as typesetting exercises for his students. So what you see on the right are poems that his students printed on cards, cardstock about the size of index cards, with my poems on them. So at a very early age, before there was any such thing as a PC, a desktop computer, a Mac, a laptop, an iPad, or a cell phone, or laser printer, or inkjet printer, any of that technology that we today take for granted in schools or offices, I got to see my work in print because my dad was a printer. I did not decide that I wanted to be an author until I was a grown-up, because even though I loved to read, I had no idea that the people who were writing the books that I so loved to read were, number one, alive, and number two, getting paid to do that work. So becoming an author was just not anything that was in my head when I was growing up. But by the time I was in my 20s, I had decided I wanted to become an author. And now I have 50 plus books. They span the genres, that means different types of literature, of poetry, biographies, nonfiction, and historical fiction. And as Ms. Burnett pointed out, some of them have won some prestigious awards like Newbery and Caldecott honors. And there are those books have shiny stickers on them, as you can see. But not all awards have shiny stickers on the book. Some are trophies, like the flame that you see on the left, or the pewter cup that you see on the right, or the NAACP Image Award, which is really, really heavy. That's my heaviest award that you see on the bottom. But I'm showing you this slide, not to brag about how many awards I've won, but to show you the award in the middle. The award in the middle is a doll. And I got that for winning the Jane Addams Children's Literature Honor. And the doll is supposed to be Jane Addams, who was a social worker at the turn of the 19th to 20th century in New York. So although I'm very grateful for the award, just between you and me, I think it's the creepiest award I've ever gotten. Because the doll looks like the kind of doll that would come alive in the middle of the night, and you'd wake up and she'd be standing on your pillow. So I keep her way up high where she can't get me. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit now about the Aretha Franklin book, the making of that book, before I share the book with you. I'm going to stop sharing first. Let's see. So I am a fan of Aretha Franklin, and I became a fan fairly early in life. I listened to her music.
Hi, I'm Carole Boston, Weatherford,
I'm sorry.
the author of.
What happened on every slide? Let me see if I can turn this thing.
Writing this book was
I'm sorry about that. All right, so I became a fan of Aretha Franklin because I heard her music on the radio.
My dad was.
But also, like I'm saying on the slide, my dad was a fan of Aretha Franklin, and these are some of his albums, and that's a picture of him in the bottom and at the bottom. So working on this book, even though my dad passed away over 20 years ago, working on
Let
this
me show
book
you
was
a
a
little-
chance for me to bond, remember the bond that I shared with my father over music when I was growing up. So I, when Aretha Franklin passed away, a couple people suggested to me that I should write about her. And after hesitating at first, I went ahead and decided I would do that. And the list of words that you see here now are words that appear on the various pages of the book. The book is, it's a poem and it rhymes, and there's only one rhyming sound in the whole book, and that is the long E sound. So each page opens, each spread opens up with a word that is hyphenated or spelled out, like BLESSED. And I'm going to go through this whole list. And if you notice, each of the words ends in a letter of the alphabet that when you say that letter, it makes the long E sound. And then
Miss Weatherford,
yes.
I'm sorry. Can you reshare your screen? I don't think the viewers are
Oh,
able.
I'm sorry, I never shared.
You're fine. I just wanted to let you know before you got to the
Yeah,
list.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to back up just a second so I can show you the earlier slides.
A little bit about the structure rhyme.
Well, it's not-
BL.
What I want to do is turn the sound off on this. So, can you still hear me? Okay, good. All right, I just don't want you to hear me on this. So, let me go back. All right, so I'm going to start over. So that's the cover of the book, and you can see the book behind me. This is the fly leaf. It's called the fly leaf, and those are just the little girls looking at. I guess it looks like an adult and a child looking at Aretha Franklin albums, and those are the albums that my father, Aretha Franklin albums that my dad had in his collection. These are the words that are spelled out in the book, and when on each spread. So I'm going to go through that list of words for the boys and girls who may not know what those words spell. But when I read the book, I'm going to get you to just spell the words out. You don't have to say the word, but just spell it out for me. BLESSED spells bless. DETROIT spells Detroit. Detroit, Michigan is where Aretha Franklin grew up and where she lived basically all of her life after her family first moved there. MUSIC spells music. It says this thing has a mind of its own today. STRIFE spells strife. GIFTED, gifted. EXAMPLE, example. TALENT, talent. DEBUT, debut, that means the first time that you do something. Voice, VOICE is voice. GROOVE is groove. RIGHT is right. GREAT is proud. HUMBLE is humble. And RESPECT, of course, is respect. So I'm going to log out of this one and actually show you the book. The book was illustrated by Frank Morrison, and it won a Coretta Scott King author honor from the, not author, it won a Coretta Scott King Illustrator Award from the American Library Association this year. This is the third book that Frank and I have worked on together. So you've seen that page already. This is the title page, RESPECT, Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. And for those of you who don't know why a pink Cadillac is on there, on that page, the pink Cadillac is from the song Freeway of Love, because Aretha Franklin is riding down the Freeway of Love in a pink Cadillac. So that's what she's singing about in that song. And this is the copyright page. And this, of course, starts the book. And so you're going to spell out the word with me. BLESSED, cradled by the church, rocked by an ebony sea. Aretha says a little prayer each night on bended knee. Detroit, the Franklins moved north from Memphis, Tennessee. They put down roots and rise like a mighty tree. MUSIC, hand-clapping gospel, the Franklin's pedigree. Parents, children, praise the Lord in stirring harmony. STRIFE, Clarence and Barbara Franklin can't seem to agree. Daddy wasn't faithful, so Mama chose to flee. GIFTED, young, gifted Black, Aretha hears a melody. Then she plays the tune by ear, blinking perfectly. EXAMPLE, her preacher father fights for rights in his community. Other leaders visit to voice a common plea. And I bet you can guess who this is right here. The famous civil rights leader, probably the most famous civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Jr. TALENT, young Aretha's solos soar with artistry. Her wise father senses his daughter's destiny. DEBUT, 14, recording live and nervous as can be. She cuts a gospel album, gives God the victory. VOICE, Aretha's voice resounds with color and clarity, spanning 3+ octaves. The maestros all agree. GROOVE, Aretha finds her groove when she's rocking R&B. No woman of her time has more chart toppers than she. RIGHT, for the civil rights movement for racial equality, Aretha raises funds and gives concerts for free. Someday we'll all be free. And you can see in the background the signs that civil rights, the types of signs that civil rights protesters carried back in the day. We shall overcome, we demand equal rights, we march for jobs. GREAT, Aretha's crowned as Queen of Soul, our own royalty. PROUD, when the first Black president is sworn into history, the Queen rejoices with my country 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty. HUMBLE, Aretha tours her queendom from sea to shining sea. But in Detroit, down to earth, she's known just as Riri. RESPECT, the Queen of Soul blessed us with a golden legacy, but she would probably call it the gift that God gave me. So each of us has a gift, and even if you're very young, that gift is already inside of you, and it's up to the adults in your life, the teachers, your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors, the adults in your life, whoever they are, to give that gift the sunlight of love, the water of encouragement, and the soil of preparation, so that you can blossom into whatever type of flower you are destined to be. So these are some of Aretha Franklin's biggest hits. Of course, Respect is on that list. Baby, I Love You, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, Chain of Fools, Sweet, Sweet Baby, Since You've Been Gone, Think, Share Your Love with Me, Don't Play That Song, Call Me, Bridge Over Troubled Water, Spanish Harlem, Daydreaming, Angel, I'm in Love, Until You Come Back to Me, Something He Can Feel, Break It to Me Gently, Jump to It, which is one of my favorites, Get It Right, Freeway of Love, and I Knew You Were Waiting for Me. And my personal favorite is Natural Woman. So that is my presentation, and I will open it up for questions if anyone has questions. I'm going to stop the screen share. And I don't know whether they'll appear in the chat or whether you can read them to me, Ms. Burnett.
So it doesn't look like we
I
have.
have to turn my sound back on me. Okay.
It doesn't look like we have any questions from anybody on Zoom. And I'm seeing the Facebook post and I see people sharing, but I don't see them asking questions. So what I'll get Tamara Kersey to do is tag you on the Facebook post so that if people ask questions in the comments, we'll be able to go back and see them when this is
Later. Okay.
finished airing. Okay.
All right.
And so I want to greatly thank you. I loved the book. It's beautiful. And I actually just got your Fannie Lou Hamer book in the mail this week, and
Oh,
it's beautiful as well. And so I'm grateful to have you here with us today. I think that talking about Black history all year long is important. And I think that people recognized Aretha Franklin's talent, but they didn't recognize the things like the free concerts and how her father
right.
was civil rights.
Right.
So
And one thing that she did was she raised money not only to to fund the movement itself, but to bail protesters out of jail. And that was something that her father thought she didn't really need to do. She didn't need to spend her money that way. But what she said is that this money that I have, I made it from the Black community.
that's
So
right.
I feel that I should give back in this way. And so, she didn't have to do that. And she did it very quietly. Most people didn't even know that she was doing that until after she had done that, until after she had passed away. So, yeah, so that really shows, the kind of person that she was and the type of commitment that she had to the freedom struggle and to service. Another thing that always comes to mind when I say she toured her queendom from sea to shining sea is Aretha Franklin was scared of airplanes. She was there are few stars who really don't like airplanes, and Aretha Franklin was one of them, and she was really known for that. So she was touring her queendom by bus, not by plane, because of her aversion to airplanes. But she accomplished quite a bit in her lifetime, and really is deserving of respect. And that's one reason that I wanted to lift her up, not just because we study Black history year round, but because this is Women's History Month. And I thought she is someone, worthy of lifting up at this time. So
I agree. And I think that, she was a whole person. We talk about the singing, but she was a whole person, multidimensional. And there were all these things that, came out about her after she passed that really just made me see her differently.
right.
And
She
so I
also
think
loved to cook. She loved to cook.
yes.
And
Mhm.
although she contributed recipes like to magazines, she never, she was asked to create a cookbook, but she never did. I mean, that would have been priceless had she compiled a cookbook of her recipes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I again thank you so much for being here today. I'm glad that Tamara connected us, and I know that I have family from Randolph County watching, from the Empire Charge churches of Stouts Chapel, Piney Ridge, and Pleasant Hill. And so you all, of course, know Miss Weatherford because her husband used to be our pastor down there. So I wanted to make sure to highlight them as well. So Miss Weatherford, did you have anything else to share before I close us out?
Oh yeah. I have a new book, but I'll get it's right outside the door of my office. I'm gonna get it. I should show it. My latest book is called Dreams for a Daughter, and it is illustrated by Brian Pinkney. And it's essentially a mother's hopes and dreams for her daughter. So it's the kind of book that you can get it for a mother, you can get it for a daughter, and they can read it together. And there's a companion book to this that came out a few years ago called In Your Hands, which is essentially a Black Lives Matter prayer, mother's prayer for her son. So as the mother of two now adult children, a son and a daughter, after I wrote the book In Your Hands about a son, I kind of was obligated to write one about a daughter. And now I have a granddaughter as well. So yeah, that's
beautiful. How can people purchase your work?
Well, they can find them anywhere. They can get them in any bookstore if they don't have the books in stock. Often if you go to a big box bookstore or even the local bookstore, unless it's an African American owned bookstore, you may not find many African American books for children. But you can request that any bookstore order my books and they can get them. You can also get them from online booksellers like African American Literary Book Club, um, Amazon, of course, Barnes and Noble. Any online bookstore can get my online bookseller can get my books.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Weatherford. And thank you to everybody who participated today. We will be back next week with the author Arvat McLean. She will be reading her book Through Her Own Eyes, Tarva's Journey to Self-Love. And we will actually be the first audience to hear Ms. McLean's book. So I encourage you all to log into Zoom and to log into Facebook Saturday at 11:30 to hear Ms. McLean, or Dr. McLean, excuse me, read. And I will be posting the flyer for that shortly. I will also get Reverend Tamara Kersey to tag Ms. Weatherford in the Facebook comments so that she'll see any questions and comments that you all have for her. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Ms. Weatherford, again. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.